Okay, so number two, the iPhone 13 Pro costs $1,500. How much would it cost with a 10% discount? I have part of the table filled in for you. We know 100% of the cost would be 1,500, but we're not going to pay 100% of the cost because we have a 10% discount. We're actually only going to pay 90% of the cost. 10% will be saved with the coupon. Let's set up our model with a percent and value tape diagram. There's 100 groups in the percent tape diagram, and according to the table, there should be 1,500 groups in the value tape diagram. This is just estimated, okay? The value one's a little bit bigger than the percent, even though in reality, it's much, much bigger. It's just to help us imagine what math we should be doing. What we know is that the percent we're looking for is 90, so we'll label that at the top. And what we're looking for is the value of 90%. 90 clearly needs to be divided into all these groups, which there are 100 of. So each group in this model is now worth 9/10 or 90 hundredths here, 0.9. And at the bottom, the total will be 0.90, 90 hundredths, 1,500 times. There are 1,500 groups down there, each worth 0.90 for a total of $1,350. Again, we're starting with what we know, 90 in the table. We're dividing by 100 above it, and we're multiplying by the value of 100. Again, we're going sort of in a circle, always starting with division, moving on to multiplication. And the model is showing us why. Number three, Reha brought his wife out to dinner for her birthday. The bill was for $175, but he wants to leave a 25% tip for the waiter. How much is the total bill? 100% of the bill so far is $175. But that would be rude of me to leave with just paying for the food. You also should pay for the service. So I'm going to leave 100% plus 25% more for the waiter. I need to calculate 125% of the bill. Setting up our model, our ratio of percent to value is 100 to 175. What we know is the 125%, and what we're looking for is the value of 125%. 125 needs to be split into these 100 groups using division. Now we know each group is worth 1 and 25 hundredths, and there are 175 groups down here. Putting 175 groups of 1.25 together, we can multiply and calculate $218.75. That is how much money I should leave. I probably just leave $220. Again, we have this pattern of starting in the table with the bottom left corner, dividing by 100, and multiplying by 175 to finally get our answer, $218.75. Always starting with division, moving on to multiplication, and starting on the same side we know. Number four, feel free to pause, rewind, rewatch anytime. There's a 40% off sale at the mall this weekend. If you find a pair of Nike sneakers to buy for $220, how much will they cost after the 40% discount? 100% of the shoes or the cost would be $220. But we don't have to pay $220 because there's a 40% discount that weekend. If we get 40% off, what percent will you pay? 60%. We're not paying 40, we are paying 60. Together those would make 100%, hence the fluency that you practiced. Okay, let's set up our model. Percent and value, tape diagram for each. 100% looks like this. 220 is a little bit bigger. We do know the 60%, and we're looking for the value. See if you can remember the pattern from the last few examples. What will we do with 60? what will we do with 100 and 220? What comes first, division or multiplication? What gets divided in the model? How will we multiply after that? Start to test your brain and see what you remember. 60 will be divided by 100, and our answer will be multiplied by 220. Starting with 60, we start with division and move on to multiplication. You would pay $132 for those pair of sneakers that originally were $220 before the sale. Now we're up to level 4 problems. The procedures are going to feel very similar. There's just one little difference. Let's take a look. The original price of a bicycle was $395. Now it's on sale for $295. What percentage of the original price was the markdown? This time what we know is that 100% of the bike would cost $395. We don't know what percent off or percent we're paying. We know we paid $295. The question is now asking us to calculate what percent we paid or what percent the markdown was. We're going to set up our model the same way with a percent and value tape diagram. This will help us visualize what math we need to do. Now, the piece of information they gave us was $295. That belongs on the bottom of the model instead of the top, like the last few examples. Look at the labels of these tape diagrams carefully. The V represents the value side, which is what we know. We know $295 is the new value, and we're going to look for what percent that was. So this time, 295 needs to be divided into all these groups, which we know there are 395 of according to the table. And the sides of those groups now need to be put together, and I know there's 100 of them on the percent tape diagram. So when I said the procedure was the same, what I meant was this time instead of starting on the left bottom corner, we're starting on the right bottom corner with 295. We're still going to move up and divide first, and then we will multiply our answer by 100. So it's just traveling in the other direction around the table, starting with division and moving to multiplication. If this doesn't make sense yet, that's okay. That's why we have several different examples to go through first. So 75% is what we paid, meaning we got a 25% discount in this example. Let's take another look. The original price of a pair of Nike sneakers was $220. Now it is on sale for $180. What percent of the original price was the markdown? Again, with the same model, we have a percent and a value tape diagram. Sorry, the labels aren't there, but we know the percent is on top, the value is on the bottom. Do we know the percent in this problem, or do we know the value in this problem? We know the new value is 180, which is why it's on the bottom of the tape diagram, and we're looking for what percent that might be. The tape diagram shows 180 being divided into 220 groups, and our answer will get multiplied by 100. Again, we're starting with what we know. This time it's on the bottom right corner of the table. We're dividing first by the same side. We're multiplying by the opposite side. We would have paid 81% of the original price, which means we got 19% off. There's the labels. Okay, number 3. The price of Mr. Preha's favorite cookies are $3.75 this week. They used to be only $2.25. What percentage increase did the store apply to his favorite cookie? So they used to be $3.75, now they're only $2.25. They marked them down a little bit. We know 100% of the cookies used to be $3.75, but the new price is $2.25. So if we set up our model, we have 100% on the top, which is why it's bigger, then 3.75 on the bottom, which is the dollar amount. We don't know the percent, that's what we're looking for, but we do know the new value of cookies, $2.25. We need to divide that value into 3.75 groups, and our answer is multiplied by 100. Again, we're starting with what we know on the table, we're dividing and multiplying. Our answer will show that we paid 75% of last week's amount for those cookies, meaning I got 25% off this week. Number 4, the bill for a meal was $33.75. The customer left $40. What percentage of the bill was the tip? You know, 100% of the bill was $33.75. Where does $40 go in the table? It goes on the right side of the table with the money. We're looking for the percent. So if we set up our table, if we set up our model, we have a percent of 100 groups and a value tape diagram of 33.75 groups. Again, this time what we know is the value amount of 40, and we're looking for what percent that might be. 40 will be divided into some groups. I'm going to check my table. It'll be divided into 33.75 groups. I know each group is now worth 1.18. There's all these groups here worth 1.18. And to check how many groups, the table here tells me there's 100 of them. So putting those together using multiplication will give me an answer of 118. 118% is what we paid, meaning we left 18% tip for the waiter or waitress. Number 5, Mr. Brea took his wife out to dinner for her birthday. The bill was $195, but he left the waiter $240. What percentage of the original bill was his tip? 100% of the bill was $195. And what this story tells us is that I paid $240 total. Setting up our model with a ratio of 100 groups to 195 groups. We know the value, not the percent. And again, we're going to divide the value of 240 into 195 groups. And then take that answer and multiply it by 100. Starting with what we know in the table, 240, the pattern stays the same. We divide first, then we multiply, and we get our answer. Because our answer was of 123 was on the percent side, that tells us I paid 123% of the bill, meaning I gave a 23% tip. Finally, number 6, Mr. Brea hires his students to help him sell pizzas during the summer. The pizzas are sold for $8 each. If he gives the students $1 for every pizza they sell, what percent of the price of one pizza is their commission? A commission is an amount of money you make for every time you sell something. So every time you sell a pizza that costs $8, I let you keep $1 of it. What percent might that be? This time there's nothing there for you, so you should be in the habit now of setting up both a table and model. Here's our table with some labels. You know, 100% of the sale of a pizza is $8. And we know that you get to keep $1. That's on the value side. percent in value in our model.